Can everyone able to see the screen, right? Like, you want me to increase that font size? How about now? Which one is better? Earlier one is this one.
Good, sir.
Okay, fine then. Okay, function. Basically, what is a function? First point. It's a subroutine. It's a subroutine contains a set of statements. Okay, so guys, so you might ask one question. So we can use a for loop only, right? So if you want to execute the same code again and again, we can use a for loop. Okay, why do you use these things? So guys, we can't able to call the for loops whenever we want. So once the for loop starts, it keeps on repeating the same task and it will come out and it will going to execute the same code. But I have a code I want to execute whenever I want to execute. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have a code, but I don't want to call it immediately. I don't want to execute the code immediately. So whenever something happens, I want to call the code on the time. So on the time, we will use a function. So which can perform some specific task. Okay, which can perform specific task. Okay. So basically, a function is a subroutine contains a set of statements which can perform a specific task. Only a specific task. So everything is not going to do inside a single function. Okay. So how do you define a function in JavaScript? Second point. Function can be defined using function keyword. All right. So in the beginning class, I told you we have some reserved keywords, right? I told you while creating the variable name, we don't use the reserved keyword. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we should not use a reserved keyword like new, function, and what are the things? This. So these are already taken from the language, taken by the language. So you can't use this keyword. So here we're using a function keyword. Okay. Next, followed by first we need to tell it's a function, followed by next after the writing the function keyword, followed by function name. So every function has its own name, guys. Okay, you need to provide a function name. That name should be again unique name. You should not repeat the same name for the multiple functions. Understood? You can't write add function name. Don't use this. How the variable name should not be duplicated. The same function name should not be duplicated. Understood? And followed by parenthesis. Parenthesis. Okay. So we will see whatever the rules we have discussed. I'm going to put in a single statement. Okay. So rules while creating functions. Okay. Very first rule. But the first rule should not start, the function name should not start with numbers again. So this is the same rule we are applied for the variable declarations, right? Variable name should not start with numbers, right? Should not start with numbers. The second rule. Okay. So function name should not be a reserved keyword. I told you the same thing is here is also applied. Okay. So reserved keyword, you know this one, right? What are the reserved keywords till now we discussed? Array, string. Okay, and new, right? You know the importance of new now, right? Function name should not be a reserve keyword. Okay, like as where, it's a variable declaration, right? If it's a if block. Okay, const against a variable declaration. While, so you should not use these keywords to declare a function name. Next, third point. So while creating the variable, so what are the allowable special characters? Anyone?
What, sir?
So while creating a variable name, so some special characters are allowed. What are those?
Dollar underscore.
Yes, we can allow, it can allow, so dollar underscore. But in while declaring the function name, so dollars, okay, doesn't accept, only underscores accept now. Okay. So should not contain, should not contains any special characters other than underscore. Okay, so these are the things we need to take into consideration. Okay, and one more very important thing is, right, guys? So until unless you're calling the function, until unless if we call the function doesn't executes. This is the most important. Function does nothing. Okay. So just an example. So you have a fruit mixer. Okay. You're gonna buy this fruit mixer from the electronic shop. You're gonna keep it. So if until unless you never turned on, does this fruit mixer works? No, right? I think everyone knows the fruit mixer, or else mixie. You're calling a mixer, or no, called in kitchen every day we are using, right? The same thing I'm explaining.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the same thing. So until you bought it, you kept it, nothing will, it doesn't work. Just like a TV. Okay, TV is also a one function. So you bought the TV, you never turned it on. So TV doesn't turn on by its own, and it doesn't turn changes its channels. Okay, we need to turn it on, we need to change. Then only it's going to start works. It's work. If you keep it as it is, it's as it is. Again, that's it. Right? So if you're defining a function, if you're not calling the function will not do anything. Just it's a waste code. Until unless you're not calling, it's a waste code. Once you call only, then only you're going to work. So in JavaScript, we have a lot of variations in functions, guys. So I will try to explain all variations. Okay. So, but in order to explain, understand all the variations, so try to understand only one. The first uh, type, just understand. Okay. The remaining will be the same, but syntax will be different, but the functionality will be the same. Okay. The very first type I'm going to discuss is called function declaration type, declaration type of function. So what is its syntax? How does it looks like? Syntax. Okay. So first we need to write a function keyword. So function followed by function name. Here after function, we need to declare a function name. Next, followed by parenthesis. Okay, next. This is a function body. We call it as a function body. Okay, so inside this body, so you need to write whatever the code you want to execute. Code to be executed. Okay, see guys, so in function, again, I'm going to classify into a function with parameters or function without parameters. So this is a function without parameters. Okay, so right, function without params. Okay, so we have one more another function type called function with params. Function with params. So the same structure. Say one more thing, don't forget to call the function here. So I'll remove this one first. Okay, so how to call the function? How do you call, you guys?
By function name.
Yes. So everyone calls by your name, right? So someone will Tejas. So Tejas means his name. So I'm calling Tejas. Tejas will respond to me. Right? The same way here. See how to call a function? So first you need to declare the function. Next you need to call the function. Okay. Function underscore name followed by parenthesis. Do not forget to call without with params. So parenthesis. See, this is most important. So first you need to write the function name followed by parenthesis. So this is a function without params. So when it comes to functions with params, how do you gonna call it? Okay, functions with params. So here we called as arguments one. Next arguments. So I'll come back to these things. Okay, don't worry. For the time being, don't worry about this one. What are the arguments? I'll tell you. What is parameters also? I'll tell you. Argument, not arguments, single. Okay, argument one, argument two, etc. etc. I'm just writing the structure. So don't worry, I'll give you examples for our parameter one. Next, parameter two, etc. etc. Okay, so this is how it's going to work. So this is called function declaration type. Next. So first we will discuss about function without parameters. So the first one. Okay. So I am going to write a function. How to define a function? Function followed by function name. The function name I am going to write is greet. Okay, so just this function will greet you. So followed by parenthesis. After that, so we need to define a body of the function. This is a function body. So inside the double curly braces. So open curly braces, close quote. In between these curly braces, you're going to write your code. Understood? So I'm going to put just an alert pop-up. Alert. Like hello world. Understood? Let's save these things. Does this function executes now?
No,
No. Why?
because we have to call this function.
Yes. Until unless. That's what I've written here. Until unless if you call the function does nothing. So I've just defined the function. I'll leave it as it is. But for loop is not like these things. Okay. So we can do the same code again. We can execute the same code again and again. Of course, I know. But it will start immediately by its own and it's going to end whenever condition is false. But when it comes to function, so you return a function, you need to call it. Otherwise, the function does nothing. So you need to how to call the function? Function name. Whatever the function name you're given here, you need to write the function name here. That's it. No, we need to call through parenthesis. After that, we have to pause. So now if you save it, this function will execute. See, this function is to print a greet message in the alert, right? Understood? Everyone, any doubts, guys?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
See, this how. So how many times I call this same function again and again? N number of times. No, there is no restrictions, guys. See, observe. You can call the same function again and again. Now tell me how many times this function execute now. How many times I'm calling the function?
3.
How many times it will
3.
execute now?
3.
3, of course, right? I will call you 3 times. You're going to respond me 3 times. See, first time, second, third. So I will call the same function again and again. The same function will execute again and again, multiple times. Understood?
Yeah, okay, sir.
Okay, so this is an example for function without parameters. I will come back to what is parameters. See, it's an example for function without parameters. Just I'm returning a function. I'm write a function. I'll return some code inside this one. I'm going to call it. So I'll write another example. So this example will try to add 2 numbers. That's it. So let x is equal to 10. Let y is equal to 20. I'm going to add these 2 numbers. Function add, okay, or addition. Function addition. So here what I'm going to do, okay, let result is equal to x plus y. Okay, I'm just printing the result in the console. So that's it. We need to call the function, right? So return a function or define a function. I need to call the function. So addition, I am calling here only one time. Okay, so now it will execute. See, I told you in the beginning, JavaScript will execute line by line, right? So first line will execute. First, it will not execute. Why? Because I've just defined a function. I'm not calling the function. Your code start will execute from here. So first, it will print hello world 1, 2 time, 3rd time. Next, it's going to execute this addition function and it's going to add these 2 numbers and it will print the result in the console. So 1, 2, 3. See, it will going to add these 2 numbers. What is the value of x? 10. What is the value of y? 20. Final result will be 30. 30 is going to print it inside this console. Understood?
Got it, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
This function, basic functionality of this function is to add 2 numbers. That's it. So one unit, one set of code. Basically, every time whenever provide, so we are going to do these things. So here, I have one issue here. What is the issue? Okay, so every time I can't able to tell you x is always 10, y is always 20. So whenever I give you, see, you know calculator, right? So you know calculator. Okay, so see, observe 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. So okay, so next I can clear it also. Okay, again I want to change the numbers, right? 7 plus 6, so 30. So I can do changes. So how can I do these changes? Such type of I would build such type of function. Okay, these are all things you're going to build on the top of the function only, everything. Okay, how do you gonna design such type of function? Okay, so there you're gonna start with function with parameters. Function with parameters. Okay. So I'm gonna stop executing this code because this code keeps on executes. So let's see. I hope I can comment this one, right? You're all comfortable with this code, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
I'm gonna comment it. I'll keep it for your reference. You can uncomment and practice yourself. Okay, function with parameters. So before writing the example, give me 1 second. I will take my pen tablet. Okay, I'm going to write a function with parameters. So try to understand and try to know these terminologies. Okay. So everyone will get confused on some terminologies. I'll see you in previous patches. So I have a function name followed by function followed by function name addition. Okay. So here, so inside this parenthesis, I have not written anything, right? Without parameters. For with parameters, I'm going to write like A, comma, B. So followed by parenthesis, curly braces. Inside this one, I'm going to write a const result is equal to A plus B. Okay. So and next, I'm going to print inside the console log. So I will define a function. I want to call this function. So this time I will call this function. How to call a function? Function name. This is the function name, right? So function name followed by, so here I'll pass 5 comma 3. See guys, so this is called this thing A and B. This is called parameters. Understood? We call it as this A and B are called parameters. Okay. So what is a parameter? A function can have one or more parameters. So which will be supplied by the calling the code, right? So we are going, while calling this, I'm going to supply this. See guys, these parameters are called input to this function. See, just this is like a variable. Okay, it's a variable. So these parameters are a variable which are input to the function. So these value I can able to use it. So whatever the, while calling the function, so you're going to send some values, right? So these called arguments. Arguments are the values for the parameters. So these are the supplied values. So whenever I call this function, so what is the value of A? Anyone?
5.
A will going to take 5. What is the B value? B is
3.
going to take 3, right? So A is equal to 5, B is, see order, observe the order, how you are passing the arguments and how you are define the parameters. Both matters a lot. Okay. So A will takes 5. So now A is equal to 5 and B will take 3 So 5 plus 3. So here is 5 plus 3. 8. That 8 is going to print it in the console. Okay, so I have called this function by passing 5 and 3. Okay. So we call this argument object also. Okay. So basically argument object includes a value for each parameters. So for each parameters, I'm passing a argument. See, if you're expecting 3 parameters, okay, you're defining 3 parameters, definitely need to pass 3 arguments. Okay, as much as parameters we have, as much as argument we need to pass it. Okay, so later onwards I'll tell you the difference. Okay, so if anyone is less how to manage, I will tell you. But for the time being a beginner, just understand. So if you're passing 3 parameters, you're expecting 3 parameters, pass 3 arguments. No more, no less. Okay. Next.
Can we call the function name with argument multiple times?
Yeah, we can do this one. See, addition. Again, I'm going to call this same addition functionality. Addition. This time I'll change to 10, 20. Okay, now tell me what is the value it's going to take. A, the same function. I'm calling the same function with different arguments.
Okay.
This is second instance. We called second time I'm calling. So A will take 10 and B will take
20.
20. Now 10 plus 20 is equal to
30.
30 is going to print. So you'll see both 8 and 30 because I'm calling the same function again and again. Okay, first when I call this, it's going to print 8. So when I call this with this argument, it's going to print 30.
Fine, yeah, thanks.
Understood, everyone?
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Sir, in result, we provide constant data type now.
Okay.
So if value changes, if you use function different times, the value of result will be constant or change. It will be constant.
Okay. Yeah. See, guys. So once it executes, come out of this. Once the function executes, done. So it's again the next will be a fresh start.
Okay, sir.
Okay, on the time no matter. Okay, but while calling the same function, the first function instance only, you can't change the const variables because I've already executed. Once executed, it's done. It's going to restart it again from the beginning. Okay. Now let's see these things. Function followed by the same function. I will use addition. So here I'll pass the parameters a comma b. Okay, so don't get confused. So const let. So because I'm not reusing, see, observe, const or result is equal to a plus b. So do not try to reassign it here only in the same instance only. So result is equal to some 10. So do not, it doesn't work. So it will throw error because const variable cannot be reasonable. Understood? You can't reason. But once the function executes, no issue. Because again, it's going to call it with a fresh call. Okay, it's a new argument. It's a fresh start. Addition 5, 3. It prints 8. Okay, I am calling the same function with different arguments. Understood? Again, I am calling the same function with different arguments. Understood now? Any doubts? Guys?
No, sir.
Okay, see what is the main use of function? So we can reuse the same code again and again. See, I have defined a single function. I can reuse the same code again and again. Code reusability. The main agenda of the function is called code reusability. Okay, so that's what I written, right? Specific task. So I'll add one more point here. Okay, functions can be reusable. Reusable. Okay, reusable. Reusable, and it can be execute as many times you want. Okay, as many times. Understood? This is a reusable. I can reuse the same code again and again, right? Every time I don't want to write a plus b, or x plus y plus z. So don't write these things. Same code, don't repeat that again and again. So it will help to, it helps in dry principle. Do not repeat the code, same code again and again. Right? So that's the main use of function. Okay, I'll add some more, few more points here for your reference. So what is parameter? A function can contain one or more parameter, so which will be supplied by the calling the code, calling the code, and can be used inside the function. Okay, guys, so is JavaScript is a dynamic language?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So what is dynamic language? What is dynamicness? So it's one of the interview questions, guys.
Which responses,
Okay.
which
So
makes to response.
yes. So this question has been asked many times in interviews. Is JavaScript is a dynamic or a static language? Yes, JavaScript is a dynamic. Why? See, did I mention any data type here? Did I mention this variable will take always a number? Did I mention it?
No, sir.
No, right? So by seeing the value, it's going to assign this data type. Understood? By seeing the values, it's going to assign the data type. That's the reason we are called as a dynamic language. Understood? So by seeing the value, so it will assign the data type by its own. So, but in comes to C, you need to tell. So it will take an integer or a floating point or a string, right? Or an array. We need to explicitly tell, right? When it comes to C, C++. In Java also, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes. So they are not dynamic. So JavaScript is a dynamic language. While executing, it will check the value, type of value, and it's assigns the data type. It knows the data type. Okay, so this is a number because the user has given 10. It's a number as a 10. Okay, it will, this X will take in number data type. Okay, this is called dynamic language. Okay, what is strictly coupled and loosely coupled? Is JavaScript. It's loosely coupled, right? Why? While executing, I can change the data type. See, this time let X is equal to 10. So in the next line, I can change the X is equal to true or false, like Boolean. I can change the data type, right? Means it's a loosely coupled. Dynamic and loosely coupled JavaScript. You have to explain these 2 points whenever an interviewer asks the question. Okay, see again, the parameters also dynamic. Why? See, while calling this time, I will passing a number, right? So again, I will give one more example. Now tell me, if you're really good with the type conversion, you can tell this, you can answer this question. And can you tell me the last execution output?
Hello 60.
Yes, it's hello 60. Because A will take hello as a string. See, that's the reason. Parameter is a dynamic. Okay, so A is a hello this time and B is a 60. It's going to do concatenation here, not an addition. Because one data type is a string, other data type is a number. It's going to do concatenation. The output is hello 60. Understood? So parameters are also dynamic. You know the meaning of dynamic now, right?
Got it.
So these are all the questions which comes in interviews, guys. So make a note of all these things. Okay, next we have an argument, right? Used inside the function. What's an argument? Argument. So don't get confused. This is arguments. These are parameters. Or is argument? So an argument object includes value of each parameter. It passes a value for each parameter. That's it. Parameter. Understood? Fine. Okay. So we have one more important called return keyword. So this is the most important keyword. 90% we will use this return keyword. So many people will not properly understand what does the exact return keyword does. Okay, so try to understand. So it's most important while writing a function. So we'll use a return keyword. What is a return keyword? Basically, return keyword, whenever inside this function, the JavaScript sees return keyword, it will stop immediately. It will stop executing the code immediately on that instance and it will return the result, whatever the result you are going to provide it here. See, observe. Comment this one also. So I'm writing a function. So here add two numbers. See, I'm using the same convention. Same convention. What is this convention called? Camel case, right? Yes, I told you in the beginning. So use the same convention while creating the function name also. Even variable name also and function name also use the same. See, add two numbers basically. So this takes two parameters. So num1 is one parameter, num2 is another parameter. So what does it do? Tab. So what does it do? Const result is equal to num1 plus num2. So here I'll use a return keyword. Return a result. Okay, so before executing this one, I want to explain with the board what does it exactly does. Pictorial we'll understand first. Next we'll go for the execution level. So I have a function. Okay, I'm going to write a simple function. Add two numbers. This function takes a and b. Okay, there I'll provide num1, num2, don't worry. So just in parent variables, right? So we can change it. So here const result is equal to A plus B. So here I'm planning to return it. Return result. Okay. So I will call this function add two numbers 5, 3. Now tell me what is the value of A. It's just I'll try. Okay. Just don't worry about return. So just go through it. A regular flow. I will explain what is written. What is B value?
3.
3.
So what is the result? 5 plus 3 is 8. Okay. See the code. So whenever call the function, so the function will start executing from this line code. Okay. So it's going to take two parameters and its values and it's going to add it. So once add, I got the result. Result is stored under this result variable, right? Next, whenever JavaScript sees this line, it will stop executing immediately. It will stop the code execution in this spot only. This line, this is the last line. After this one, so here, if you return 1,000 lines of code here, in between, if you return 1,000 lines of code, that code doesn't work. Because the code will stop it here only. After that, you return 1,000 lines of code. What makes the difference? It's a waste code again. So that's the reason return keyword should be a last line of your function. If you return fast it, so it will gonna stop executing the function itself only. Okay, you'll see the very different versions of return keyword while moving on. Okay, so there is no more execution of the codes. Next, what is I'm expecting to return? So result, what is the value stored in under result? 8. Am I right? What is the value stored inside the result variable? 8. Am I right?
Yes.
Where does it going to return? Where I am calling the function? Where is function is call is happening? In this spot. So it is going to return the result here. Where I am calling the function, it's going to return there. Understood? So yes, I am returning it, but I want some variable to accept that value, right? I am giving you something, you need some container to store that value, right? Right? Guys.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we need a variable here. So that's the reason I will declare some let x is equal to. Let x is equal to, I need to call the function. Whenever the function returns, so you will get the value of x as a 8. So return keyword stop executing in this spot and it returns the result where I'm calling the function. Function calling is happening at this point of time. Is this part, this line. It is going to return the result at this line. So it is going to send the 8. So it's need not to be always a unit result. You will send the result. No, guys. So it's an optional. Guys, you can return nothing also. Or you can return some message also. Hello. So it returns hello. X is equal to hello now. So if you return anything, it's going to accept and it's going to store it here. So whatever the thing you return, whatever the thing you write after the return keyword, that value should be stored inside this function where I'm calling the function, calling the same function. Understood? What does return keyword does?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's see with example, you'll understand better.
Sir, come back. Come back the return, sir. Can you
Yeah.
explain that once again? Yeah.
First, I will give you
the second hello parameter, right? That one.
yeah. I will give one example. So later I will come back to you. Okay.
Fine. Yeah.
See, observe. See, I have written a function. I'm not calling the function waste because until unless you call the function does nothing. Okay, I am calling this function this time. Add two numbers by calling 5, 3. Let's save this thing. You will not get anything. 0. You will not get anything. Why? See, function executed perfectly. It's executed, and it's also written the result. But where I'm calling the function at line number 104, here I'm calling the function. So where the value, result value is, so basically this function returns the result value. This result value, it's going to, what is the value stored under result? 8. Okay, so it's basically returning the value 8. Okay, so where I'm calling the function, so I'm calling the function at line number 104. Okay, so that's the reason I'm not getting any value. So I need a variable. See, let x is equal to, I'm calling the function. After x, I'm calling the function. So where I'm calling the function at line number 108.4. So it's going to return, what is the value of result? I'm planning to return the result value. What is the value of result? So it's 8. Now tell me what is the value of x? 8.
8.
Understood? Okay, come back to this one. I told you, you need not to always return. You can leave it as it is, empty. Leave it. So now x is equal to undefined. Or your, so yes, this function will add two numbers, but I don't want to return the result. I want to send some message, hello. So x becomes hello. Understood now?
Clear, sir.
Whatever the thing you return, writing after the return keyword, that should be goes, that will go to that where I'm calling the function. Understood? So people will think, okay, we are always return the result only. No. Who told you? You might not give anything. So just return. Okay, leave it blank. Just it will stop executing and it will come out of the function execution. That's it. Fine, done. I'm done. I don't want to write anything. Okay, no, it's up to you. It's optional. If you really want the value, you can return the result value. Otherwise, if you want to return some different string, okay, you can write a different string or a number or boolean or anything. So this time I'm returning true. Okay, let's come back to this diagram. Okay. Function add two numbers. Okay, so here a comma b const result is equal to a plus b. So I'll use a return keyword here. Okay, return result. I'm expecting to return the result variable value. Whatever the value stored under this result variable, I'm expecting to result where I'm calling the function. Okay, add two numbers. I'm calling the function here by passing 5 and 3. Okay, now a is equal to 5 and b is equal to 3. So the result will be 8. So I'm planning to print the 8 where I'm calling the function. Where is functions calling happening? At this line, right? So I am going to send the, what is the thing? Result. What is the value stored under this result variable?
8.
8. So it's going to send the 8. Yes, I am sending some value. We need a variable to store, right? So variables are like containers. I told you in the beginning class. Variables are like containers which will help you to store the values, right? So that's the reason I'm declaring x is a variable to store this value. Whatever the function returning, I want to store it. Otherwise, it's a waste, right? Otherwise, it's a waste. I'm giving you some soft drinks. You don't have any container to store. If I'm giving you, how do you gonna hold those soft drink? It's a waste. You need some mug or some bottle to store that one, right? The same way. So this function giving you something, you need some container to hold that value. So that's the reason I will use a variable x. That's the reason it's going to return. See, I told you in the beginning. So this is an optional. You need not return anything. If you're not returning anything, okay. If you're not returning anything, this function does, it will not going to receive anything. So just return as it is, blank. So add two numbers. I'm calling this function by passing 5 and 3, but you are not returning anything, empty. So let x is equal to this. So I have a variable, but I have declared a variable, and I'm not assigning any value. What type of data it is? I have a variable. I've not assigned any value. What type of data?
Undefined.
Yes.
Undefined.
Yes, exactly. So this function is written nothing, empty, nothing. It's not going to send anything. That means it's empty always. That's undefined. That's the result. But if I'm returning result value, now it will take, if I send result value, so it will take 8, because what is the value stored in the result? It's 8. If I send some string hello, this the same hello will goes here. So and x will becomes hello. If I send true or false, so it will take x is equal to true. Okay, after you return something, so the code will not execute.
Return, the parameter is nothing to do with the return, right?
Yes, not parameter or any code.
Arguments, sorry, it's arguments, yeah.
Yeah, arguments or anything. So return is completely different. It's completely independent.
Okay, fine, sir. Yeah.
Okay, so no need to consideration. So you can return anything you want, you can return it. Okay, so this how return keyword works. Okay.
Suppose we are returning here hello string,
Hmm.
but here we pass y3 as an argument. It's returning like 8. So
Yeah.
here without passing any arguments like a plus b or result keyword,
Mhm.
so with just only hello string, it's printing hello.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Fine. Okay, so fine.
So just a straightforward. Okay, no more confusions here. Just see, I'm planning to print true. Okay, so this value will take now. This will be true. So it's print true. Okay, so yes, we have done the calculation. I got the value 8, but I don't want to write the 8. I don't want to value the result. I'm planning to print true. Okay, right. So just print hello. So it will take hello. Okay, so no matter. But one more important thing. So after return keyword, if you return any code, so it doesn't work. See, after return code. So you're not going to see this print because the function will stop here only. This is a waste code. Even if you done, so it does nothing. That's the reason. You can write 1,000 lines of code here. Here you can write 1,000 lines of code after return keyword. If you return 1,000 lines of code also, that code is a waste code. Okay, so you be careful. So return keyword should be your last line. Okay, because after that function will not work. The function code will stop immediately. So if you want to print it something, you can do it in the before return. So here you want to print some hi. So you can do these things. See, first it will go into do addition and stores the value of 8 in the result. Next, it prints the hi. Next, it returns hello. So where I am calling the function, it's going to returns the hello value. So the function calling is at line number 106 and hello will be stored it at x. Okay, next that x will be printed here. Understood? Return keyword.
Clear, sir.
Yes, sir, clear, sir.
Okay, so now onwards we are going to use
Sir?
yeah, go ahead.
You told that if the return code is empty, also it will work. So if the return code is empty, what will happen?
Return code is
Empty. The remove the allow.
empty string.
No, you told that undefined will come.
Empty string. If you're not passing anything, so it's an empty. If you're not returning anything, you will get undefined. I'm just return, that's it.
Previously I told if you write anything, nothing also it will work. So I told, sir. in return place,
Uh-huh.
if it doesn't write result also, it works, it
Yeah,
only.
it's working, right?
It's giving undefined.
Yeah. So I'm just planning to print the value of X. So it returns nothing means it's an nothing. So I've declared a variable, but I have not assigned any value. So what does it mean? See, observe. What is the value of Y now? What is the value of Y? If I check,
Undefined.
right? It's undefined, right?
Okay.
I've declared a variable. I don't have assigned any value. Here is also, I am calling the function, but function will not return anything. So the X will doesn't get any value. That's the reason to take undefined by default, right? Understood?
Okay, sir.
Okay, because I'm not returning anything. I don't have anything. After execution, even I don't have anything here. I don't have anything. It's exactly like this thing. After execution. What is the what is the X value now? Right?
Undefined.
Undefined only. The same way. Here it's been replaced with anything. Empty. It makes undefined.
That means we should write after return, we should write the output result like that, sir.
Yeah, it's up to
Otherwise-
you. It's up to you. Based on your requirement. Okay, that's why I'm telling you. It's optional for you. Okay, it's up to your requirement. What do you want written? Sometime we will expect written some true, false conditions, like some true, false flags. Sometimes we want to return some result. Sometimes I want to provide some alert pop-up. Okay, so it's up to their requirement, your requirement. But here, what you want to understand here is, so after return keyword, what I am giving you, that will get the that will go into that will takes where the function call is happening. Understood?
Sir, after writing return, we should store the value in XR. If the return is not written, no need to put the X, right, sir?
Yes. If you're returning something,
You should store in X, sir. The value should be stored in X, sir.
yes, we need to store that. Not X. It's up to you, a variable. Okay. So I'm this now. This function is returning a string, but so it will directly send this string to this place. But I don't have anything to store that one, right?
Yeah.
So that's the reason I'm declaring a variable to store the values.
Okay.
Understood?
Okay, sir. When the return is written only, that time we have to store the value in X,
Yes.
right, sir?
We need to capture the value, right? That's the main functionality of the function. Why I'm using this function? I want to process some code and I want to get the result. I want to store that result in somewhere else for further process, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's the reason. See guys, return keyword is most important. If you're not at all understanding this one, try to complete today itself only. Okay, everyone. Why? So a simple application, mobile application or any web application, right? So everything is built on the top of functions only. Functions are the building blocks of any application. Without function, no one is going to write the code. So there you'll only one single function will not do everything. Only one mixer can do blend the fruits, but it cannot do all the kitchen activities. So for different activities, we need to write a different function. Each function will return different values. So we need to capture the value and we need to store it somewhere else and we need to process it further. So it's like an building chain building like chain like structure. So we will use return keyword heavily. That's the reason. So if you're not understanding, I will explain once again. Everyone understood?
Sir, if you're not writing a return keyword, what will happen? Nothing will happen, right?
Yeah,
If you're not writing return keyword.
nothing will happen.
We- Yeah.
Nothing will happen. Because
The
you're not
output will come, right, sir? The output 8 will come, right?
where?
Yeah, in console.
I will remove the yeah, if you want print, I'm just printing here console. If you return it, so it will print it.
Then why we are using return keyword? What's the main purpose?
Yeah, we after doing some calculation here. Okay, I'll show that one. Return result. Okay. So why I'm using return keyword? I will tell you. Let x is equal to 10 plus add two numbers 5 comma 3. Now tell me what is the value of x, anyone?
18.
Just 18, right?
18.
Yes. Now understand the value of return keyword. So now, so first it will call this function. Okay, first it will call this function. So 5, num1 will take 5, num3, num2 will take 3. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so totally the num1 plus num2 is equal to 8. It's going to return the result. So now, since I am planning to return the result, so this is going to replace with 8. Now, understood?
Okay.
Next, it's
Okay,
going
sir.
to do addition, then final result will becomes 18. So if you want to do this such type of operations, I am returning a function. I want to use this function as in multiple times. So for different purposes. So you can use the same block of code. So there we are going to use the return keyword heavily.
Okay, sir.
Understood?
Okay, sir.
Any doubts here again, guys? Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, I'm gonna stop it here. So, or else you can sit for another 30 minutes because 3 days I've taken a gap, right? So 1.5 hour, 1.5 hour today and tomorrow. Is it okay for you? Are you able to take it up, or so it's an option, guys? So if you're not feeling that much comfort, so I can't able to sit 1.5 hour, so it's no issue. So if you're really ready to take everyone, so then only I can take it.
Sir, we can take it.
You can take it, right? Yeah, because
Ready, sir. Ready.
okay. So the thing is like so 3 days gap, right? So 1.5 hour, 1.5 hour, 3 hours, I can cover up all those gaps. So tomorrow also 1.5 hour. Okay, fine. So as you said, so why we use return keyword? Okay. Why we use a return keyword? Once again, I'll put an message for the another batch. I'll start for 9 o'clock for them. You heard about check for loop, right? The same way. So inside a function, we are going to write another function. Nested function. I have a function. The function name I will call it as an greet. And I'm going to write another function. See, function inside another function. Like this function name, say hello. This function name is say hello. Okay. See. Guys. Function, say hello. See, I'm going to call the function. See, the greet function is the outer function. Say hello is the inner function. Am I right? So how to call this function? First, you need to call the outer function. So before calling, I want to print some message, right? So I'll pass a name. So means I'm gonna pass it. So what is the outer function name? Greet. So here Ajit. I'm passing Ajit. So now tell me what is the value. So what is the value of name when I call this function?
Ajit.
Ajit. Yes, name will take Ajit. So I'm going to define a nested function. Function say hello. So this function, so I'm just inside this alert. I'm going to put an alert pop-up. So inside this one, I will use backticks. Okay, so this message will print hello dollars name. So what does it does? It does nothing. Why? See, I am calling the outer function. Did I call the inner function, say hello function anywhere?
No, sir.
No, unless I'm not calling the function will not do execute. So I am calling say hello inside. See, after, so since I am defining the function, say hello function inside the greet, you should call the function only inside the greet only after the function declaration. So say hello. Now, okay, it's going to print hello Ajit. Understood? How to write a nested function? Any doubts here?
No, sir.
Okay, see, first you need to declare call the outer function first. So I am passing a parameter. Okay, so name. So what is the value assigned to name? The argument Ajit. Okay, I'm passing a parameter name. So Ajit. So again, I'm calling this function. So when I call this function, so inside the alert, it will get the name. What is the name I passed earlierly? Ajit to this name parameter. So next I'm going to print hello Ajit. So this is how the nested function will work. Any doubts here? Simple. Nested function is quite simple, but inner function should be called after immediately it's created after once declared immediately, but it should be happen inside the outer function. So this is outer function. See, you can see this curly braces, yellow curly braces. Okay, see, you can, that's the reason I told you use VS Code. While writing the code, it will easily, you can see the blocks. See, this say hello function is a purple color curly braces, right? So it will start from here and it will end here. So the greet function having a green, yellow color curly braces, it will start here and it will end here. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is how the nested function will work. Okay, next, one of the most important thing of the function is like, so utility function or function, a function calling another function. It's not a nested function, guys. A function is calling another function. We call it utility function or helper function also. So the last some lady asked me, right? So that the thing, so why do we use return keyword? What is the main use of return keyword? So this is also one of the use, but we will see, you will see the real usage where the return keyword really helps you to write an efficient code. So we called utility function or helper function. Okay, helper function, or we called as a function calling another function. All are same. Okay, function calling another function. Okay, I have a fruit processor. Okay, basically that fruit processor cuts the fruits into some 4 parts. Okay, so this is my planning. So I'm going to write a simple function for fruit processor. Function fruit processor. Okay, fruit processor. So this takes 2 parameters. What are the parameters? Apples. Basically, this fruit processor will take 2 fruits, apples and oranges. apples and oranges. Next, so I have a variable, okay, const, okay, apple pieces. Apple pieces is equal to whatever the apples, the whole apple received, I'm going to cut that whole apple into 4 pieces. Okay, so apple multiply by 4 parts. Am I right? So if I send a 1 apple, so 1 into 4, 4 parts. If I send a 2 apples, so by cutting each apple into 4 pieces, so if I give you 2 apples, how many pieces you will get?
8.
8, right? Because I'm giving you 2 apples. Each apples I'm going to cut into 4 parts. So 4 plus 4, 8. 3 apples, 12, right? The same way. Next, oranges again, const. So both are different variables, guys. This is a parameter apples. This is apple pieces. Don't get confused. Another variable. So this isn't just a parameters. Okay. Oranges. Orange pieces. Orange pieces is equal to oranges. Whatever the oranges have received, each oranges I'm going to cut into 4 parts. Okay, once everything is cut down, so I'm going to print a message in the console. What is the message? Okay, so juice with apple pieces and dollars orange pieces of orange. Okay, so I'm just planning to print this like message. So I will call this function. How to call this function? Anyone? I've written a function. This function does nothing now. How to call this
Apple.
function? How to call this function, guys? Function name followed by the total number of apples. So I will pass 5 apples and 3 oranges. So now apples will be 5, oranges will be 3. Let's save these things. See, you'll see juice with 20 pieces of apple and 12 pieces of orange. Okay, why? See, when I call this function, so apples will becomes 5 and oranges will becomes 3. Function root processor apples and oranges. Okay, const apple pieces is equal to whatever the apples have received here, that apples multiply by 4, const orange pieces is equal to oranges received multiplied by 4. So when I call this function, so understand, when I call this function, observe, so 5 comma 3. So now tell me what is the value of apples?
5,
5.
5.
Oranges 3, right?
3,
So
3.
this is a variable, right? Apple piece is a different variable. Okay, what is apples? 5 multiplied by 4 and oranges 3 multiplied by 4. It is 20. It is 12. Okay, so that's the printing. I'm the message I'm printing. Juice with 20 pieces of apple and 12 pieces of orange. Okay, so any doubts here in this code?
So I have a doubt,
Yeah.
like it's not related to this particular topic, like console.log is there, right? Printing.
Mhm.
So when to print within the curly brace or anything like that, like for loop or anywhere, when to print within the loop and when to print outside the curly brace, and what is the difference for printing?
Okay. See, basically why we in any coding language, why we use a curly braces could define a block. But that block is not always the same in all cases. Okay, so observe. So if I use a for loop, so you know the functionality of for loop, right? So this for loop will start immediately and keeps on executing.
Yes.
But function is not like this thing. Function is also a block. Basically, it's also a block, simple block, but its behavior is completely different. Whenever I'm calling the function will execute. Okay, so based on your requirement, if you're using a for loop, don't print it because every iteration keeps on prints multiple times. So it should not happen after the result has been declared. For a loop has been terminated. I want to get the result. So the better you need to print it outside. But when it comes to functions, function is a set of code, set of statement, right? So this statement will execute. Of course, when I call the function, when you want to print any message, you need to put inside the console.log only. Okay. So based on the functionality, you need to decide. So where do I need to print it inside or do I need to print it outside? Do some trial and errors. You'll see the pros and cons of these things.
Okay, fine. Here in this function case, what if I print outside the loop? Will it give the same?
No, I told you, right? So these variables you can't able to access.
Okay, as local variable. Okay, fine.
I told you, right, in the beginning, const
right,
and let or block scoped.
Mm.
You can't able to access even when it comes to var also you can't able to access. So there I will explain while starting with scopes in JavaScript. I will explain these things.
Fine, thanks. Yes.
Okay, on the time it doesn't work. Okay, any doubts here, guys? Apart from this thing, how we are getting 20 and 12? Anyone? No? Shall I proceed? Okay, something is repeating here. Can anyone spot this thing? Something is repeating. Some functionality is repeating again and again. It violates DRY. Do not repeat yourself. Try principle. Something is repeating. Can anyone spot it? It's just simple operation is repeating the same thing. You're writing the code multiple times. Same operation, you're writing the same code.
Multiplication.
Yes. This multiplication, I am doing 2 times. In real time, if you return such type of code, the code will be rejected. You should not repeat the same code again and again. They will ask you to write an utility function. Guys, don't write these things. They will tell you. So, madam, sir, don't write this such type of code. Your code should not be repeated. Your code should be repeat only once. That's it. You have to reuse the same code again and again. Okay, on that time, you'll need to write an utility function. What is utility function? Let's see this one. So I'm going to write another function. Function cut. So basically this function is, it doesn't care. It's an apple, it's an orange, it doesn't care. If you send a fruit, it will cut into 4 pieces, whatever the fruit. So cut fruit is a function. This function receives a fruit. For you, just a simple fruit. Now it will return fruit multiply by 4. See, if you return like these things, so before return the result, it will evaluate this one. Okay. Mute yourself. Okay. So before return the result, it's going to do this calculation. So you need not return always a number. Okay, you can return so many things. Okay, so this function isn't called utility function. What does it does? See, I am not going to multiply for here. I am just calling cut fruits here. Cut fruit by passing apples. And also it is also, I will not do multiplication. I'll just call the cut fruit function by passing oranges. You'll get the same output. Now tell me, how does it works? So this function we called helper function. Basically, this function will cut your fruit into 4 parts. That's it. Okay, I will write this one. So in order to do multiplication, I'll write another function. Function cut fruit. So basically it accepts a parameter named as a fruit. So it returns whatever the parameter received fruit into multiply by 4. So basically I will call this function here. For you, I cut fruit by passing apples this time. Again, const orange pieces is equal to cut fruit into oranges. So finally, I will call fruit processor by passing 5 and 3. Okay, now I will write the proper diagram. Understand? So just your function start will executing here, because I am not calling this function. Where is this helper function is calling? Inside this sorry, fruit processor function. Okay, so fruit processor function I'm calling here. Whenever I call this fruit processor, so apple will take 5, orange will take 3. Okay, next the code will start executing from here. So it will go and call the apple pieces. Okay, so I need a value for this apple pieces. So in that place, I am calling another function. What is the function? So cut fruit. So by passing apples, what is the value of apples?
5.
So it will pass 5. So once it calls apples as a 5, now I am calling this function. This code will stop here, halt. It will pause here, because I need to get the value of apple pieces. How do you going to get the value? I'm calling another function, wait. It's going to wait few seconds to get the value. Okay, so it will pass this fruit here. Now tell me, what is the value of fruit this time?
20.
4.
5, right? So I'm passing apples as it is.
5 only.
5
Okay.
only. So
Okay.
once 5, so 5 comes here. So before returning result, so 5 multiplied by 4, 20. So that's the reason. Return, where I am returning, where is I'm calling the function? At this point. This is the point of calling, right? So it will send, so the total value 20, it will send the 20 here. Understood? Now, understood everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, next. This waiting is done. I am done, because I got the value. Next, this code will execute. Okay, again, I am calling the same function. See, that's called utility function, helper function. What is the main purpose of this function? Just multiply cut the fruits into 4 parts. What are the fruits they're going to send? Just cut it. So here I'll passing oranges. What is the value of oranges? 3. So 3 will take it here. So this time I'm calling this 3. So 3 4s are 12. the 12. So again, this function will returns a value of 12 at this point. Understood?
Yeah.
Okay, so this type of function is called helper function. Now this is called iterative or helper function. So this is the function. It's an helper function. Basically, what is the purpose of this function? Just cut the fruits into 4 parts. That's it. Understood? So that's the reason. So it will execute. See, when I call this one, apples will is equal to 5 and oranges is equal to 3. Okay, so I need a variable. I need a value for this variable. Okay, so it will call this function. What is this function? Cut fruits. This is the function. I'm calling this function at this point by passing apples. Apples is equal to 3. Sorry, 5. Passed, right? So apples I passed is a 5. So it's pass the fruits as a 5. Okay, 5 4s are 20. The 20 is going to return here. Next, this code execution done. Next, it goes for this line. Okay, again, for orange pieces variable, I am calling this function. Okay, so what is the orange piece I am passed here? 3. So again, I say same 3 I'm passing while calling the cut fruit. So I'll pass the 3 fruit value. This time, the fruit value becomes 3. So 3 4s are 12. I'm going to get the result 12 here. So finally, I'm printing in the console with 20 pieces of apples and 12 pieces of orange. Any doubts in this type of behavior? So this is the real-time scenario. People will always, you guys will see this thing, because only one function cannot do everything. So we are going to join multiple functions. We will use return keywords. Now understood why we use return keyword? Practically. Guys? Hello?
Yes, so as it is line by line execution,
Uh-huh.
in first go, so it will take line by line and it will take the arguments and then cut fruit function, the utility function will work, right?
Yes.
The multiplication.
Yes.
Okay, so fine. Yeah.
Okay. So code, of course, code will start executing, but we are not calling this function anyway. So again, this function is also not calling immediately. So this is the point of execution.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the point of execution. Your code will start from execute here 5 3, and again I will call the function with by passing pi once, and I am calling the same function passing 3 once and printing this one. Any doubts, guys? Okay, so this all about functions. So not at now, we are not done. Okay, only first part is done. So still we have seen different types of functions tomorrow. I'm going to stop it here. Okay, so try to rewatch the video again and again. Okay,